The quarantine lockdown. The emergency alarm doctor, Marcus Chen, was examining cellular samples under his microscope when the alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed across the xenobiology lab as automated systems began sealing emergency doors throughout Research Station Prometheus. The high-pitched wail made his teeth ache as he looked up from his work. "Station-wide contamination protocol activated," announced the computer's calm voice, completely at odds with the chaos of sirens. "All personnel remain in current locations. Estimated quarantine duration, 48 hours. Marcus grabbed his tablet and pulled up the emergency protocols. A potential pathogen had been detected in the station's air filtration system. The contamination sensors had triggered an automatic lockdown to prevent any biological threats from spreading. He was stuck in Lab Section C until the automated systems could purify the entire station. He had been working late again, trying to decode the genetic structure of samples collected from the Kepler 442 system. The other researchers had gone to bed hours ago, leaving him alone with his microscopes and data analysis programs. At least he thought he was alone. A soft sound from the storage room made him freeze. Someone else was trapped in the lab section, with him. Marcus grabbed a plasma cutter from his workbench, the closest thing to a weapon he could find. The contamination might not be natural, and he couldn't take chances. The unexpected companion. The storage room door opened slowly, and the most beautiful creature Marcus had ever seen stepped into the lab. She was tall and slender, with skin that seemed to shimmer between blue and silver depending on the light. Her hair flowed like liquid starlight, and her eyes were the color of deep space with tiny points of light that actually twinkled like stars. "Please do not be afraid," she said in perfect English, though her voice had a musical quality that made each word sound like part of a song. "I am not dangerous to you." Marcus lowered the plasma cutter but didn't set it down. "Who are you? How did you get on this station?" "I am Kira Veltar of the Ethereal Collective," she replied, raising her hands to show she was unarmed. "I have been conducting research here for the past month, with the knowledge of your station commander." "That's impossible," Marcus said. "I know everyone on this station." Kira smiled, and the expression made her alien features even more stunning. "Your people call it classified research. I have been studying human immunity systems to help my people understand your species better." Marcus felt his scientific curiosity overriding his caution. The Ethereal Collective was one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, but they rarely interacted with humans. Their technology was so far beyond human understanding that most people considered them almost mythical. "You're really an ethereal?" he asked, setting down the plasma cutter. "I've read about your species, but I never thought I'd meet one." "And I have been studying your species for weeks," Kira replied, "though I must admit the contamination alarm was not part of my research plan." The first challenge. The next few hours were awkward as Marcus and Kira tried to figure out how to coexist in the locked lab. The emergency protocols had sealed them into a space designed for one person, with limited food and water. The air recycling system was working, but the temperature controls were malfunctioning. "The environmental systems are failing," Marcus said, checking his tablet. "The contamination protocol is putting too much stress on the backup power generators." Kira approached his workstation, moving with a fluid grace that seemed to defy gravity. "May I examine your readings?" Marcus handed her the tablet, and their fingers brushed for a moment. Her skin was warm but felt different from human skin, smoother and somehow more alive. The contact sent a strange, tingling sensation up his arm. "Your technology is more primitive than ours," Kira said, studying the environmental data, "but it is also more adaptable. Your systems can be modified in ways that ours cannot." "What do you mean?" Kira's eyes began to glow with that strange starlight effect. "Ethereals have telepathic abilities. I can interface directly with electronic systems, but only if they are compatible with our mental patterns. Human technology is chaotic and unpredictable, which makes it difficult for us to control." Marcus felt a spark of excitement. "But that chaos is also what makes human technology so adaptable. We build systems that can handle unexpected situations because we expect the unexpected." Working together, they spent the next several hours jury-rigging the environmental controls. Marcus provided the technical knowledge while Kira used her telepathic abilities to communicate directly with the station's computer systems. The combination of human innovation and ethereal mental power created solutions that neither could have achieved alone. The deeper connection, as the night wore on, Marcus found himself drawn to Kira in ways he hadn't expected. She was brilliant, with a mind that could process information at speeds that amazed him. But she was also curious about humanity in a way that went beyond scientific research. "Why do humans take so many risks?" she asked, while they worked on repairing a faulty air purifier. "Your species explores dangerous worlds, develops dangerous technologies, and seems to thrive on uncertainty." Marcus paused in his work. "I think it's because we know we're not the strongest or the smartest species in the galaxy. We have to be adaptable and willing to try new things, or we'd never survive." "The ethereal collective has existed for over 10,000 years, Kira said softly. "We have achieved great things, but we have also become stagnant. We no longer take risks because we no longer need to." "That sounds lonely," Marcus said. Kira's starlight eyes met his. "It is. That is why I volunteered to study your species. I wanted to understand what drives humans to be so alive." The conversation was interrupted by another alarm. The contamination sensors were detecting something new, and the automated systems were preparing to flood the lab section with sterilization gas. The process would kill any biological threats, but it would also kill Marcus and Kira. "How long do we have?" Kira asked. Marcus checked his tablet. 20 minutes before the gas deployment. The life-or-death solution. Working frantically, Marcus and Kira tried to override the sterilization protocol. The station's computer systems were designed to prevent tampering, but Marcus knew there had to be a way to trick them. "The sensors are detecting a pathogen," he said, "but they don't know what kind. If we can convince the system that we've already contained the threat, I can project false readings into the sensor network," Kira said, her eyes glowing brighter as she concentrated. "But I need to know exactly what the sensors are looking for." Marcus dove into the contamination data, searching for patterns. The pathogen readings were strange, unlike anything in the database. After several minutes of analysis, he realized something shocking. "Kira, this isn't a natural pathogen. The genetic markers don't match any known biological threats. Someone created this artificially." Kira's concentration faltered for a moment. "Created? Why would someone create a pathogen?" "I don't know. But if we can figure out its purpose, we might be able to stop it." With 15 minutes left, they worked together to decode the artificial pathogen structure. Marcus provided the biological analysis, while Kira used her telepathic abilities to trace the pathogen's effects on the station's systems. "It's targeting both human and ethereal genetic markers," Kira said, her voice filled with horror. "This pathogen is designed to kill both our species." Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the failing environmental systems. Someone wants to eliminate humans and ethereals, but who would have the technology to create something like this? The revelation, as they worked to create a countermeasure for the artificial pathogen, Marcus and Kira discovered something that changed everything. The pathogen wasn't just designed to kill, it was designed to study. It was collecting genetic data from both species and transmitting that information somewhere outside the station. "We're being used as test subjects," Marcus realized. "Someone is studying how humans and ethereals react to biological threats." "The Korthak Empire," Kira whispered. "They have been expanding their territory for the past century. If they could develop biological weapons effective against both our species, they could conquer half the galaxy," Marcus finished. With only 5 minutes left before the sterilization gas deployment, Marcus and Kira made a desperate decision. They would have to combine their knowledge and abilities to create a countermeasure that could neutralize the pathogen and prevent the data transmission. "I've never tried to interface with a human mind," Kira said, her hands shaking slightly. "The mental patterns are so different from ours. And I've never had an alien in my head," Marcus replied. "But if we don't try, we're both dead anyway." Kira placed her hands on either side of Marcus's head, and suddenly his mind was filled with starlight. Her thoughts flowed into his consciousness like a river of liquid music, and he felt her presence in ways he had never experienced with another being, the mental connection. The telepathic link between Marcus and Kira was overwhelming at first. Human thoughts were chaotic and emotional, jumping from idea to idea in patterns that seemed random to Kira's ordered mind. But gradually, she began to understand the beauty of that chaos. Human creativity came from the unexpected connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. Marcus's mind could see solutions that Kira's logical thought processes would never discover. At the same time, Kira's mental abilities could process information at speeds that allowed her to analyze thousands of possibilities in seconds. Together, their combined consciousness worked on the pathogen problem with unprecedented efficiency. Marcus provided the innovative thinking, while Kira supplied the processing power and telepathic interface with the station's systems. They discovered that the artificial pathogen had a weakness. It was designed to be undetectable by normal sensors, but it couldn't adapt to unexpected changes in its environment. By rapidly altering the lab's atmospheric composition in ways that defied the pathogen's programming, they could neutralize it. With 30 seconds to spare, they managed to convince the station's computer that the contamination had been contained. The sterilization gas deployment was canceled, and the emergency lockdown began its shutdown sequence. As the telepathic link faded, Marcus and Kira found themselves staring at each other in the dim red light of the emergency systems. They had saved their own lives, but they had also discovered something that could change the relationship between their species forever. The connection, Kira whispered. I have never experienced anything like it. Marcus nodded, still feeling echoes of her thoughts in his mind. Neither have I. But I think we just discovered something that could help both our species. The lockdown would end in the morning, but Marcus and Kira knew that their real work was just beginning. They had stumbled onto evidence of a threat that could destroy multiple civilizations, and they had discovered that humans and ethereals could work together in ways that neither species had imagined possible. As they settled in to wait for the quarantine to end, Marcus couldn't help but smile. He had started the evening as a lonely researcher studying alien biology. Now he was part of a partnership that might change the galaxy. And as he looked at Kira's beautiful alien features in the emergency lighting, he realized that the night had changed more than just his understanding of xenobiology. The first step. The remaining hours of the quarantine passed quickly as Marcus and Kira worked together to document their discoveries. They had evidence of the artificial pathogen, data on the Korthak Empire's involvement, and most importantly, proof that human and ethereal minds could work together in ways that enhanced both species' capabilities. When the lockdown ends, Kira said, we will need to present this information to both our governments. Marcus nodded. This could be the beginning of a real alliance between humans and ethereals. As the first light of the station's artificial dawn began to replace the red emergency lighting, Marcus realized that the night had changed everything. He had discovered love, partnership, and a threat that could unite two species in ways that might save the galaxy. The emergency doors finally opened with a soft hiss, but neither Marcus nor Kira moved to leave. They stood together in the lab, where they had found each other, knowing that their real adventure was just beginning. The discovery that changed two species. The morning after Commander Sarah Webb arrived at Lab Section C just as the quarantine doors finished their unlock sequence. She had spent the night coordinating with Earth Command and the Ethereal Collective's diplomatic corps, trying to explain how one of their scientists had ended up trapped with her lead xenobiologist during a contamination alert. Dr. Chen, Ms. Veltar, she said as Marcus and Kira emerged from the lab. I trust you both survived the evening without incident? Marcus and Kira exchanged glances. The telepathic connection they had shared was gone, but Marcus could still sense something from her, a warmth that seemed to resonate in his mind. Commander, we need to speak with you immediately, Marcus said. What we discovered last night changes everything. Commander Webb raised an eyebrow. Discovered? The contamination alert was a false alarm caused by a sensor malfunction. No, it wasn't, Kira said, her voice carrying that musical quality that made even serious statements sound like poetry. The pathogen was real, and it was artificially created to target both human and ethereal genetic markers. The commander's expression shifted from mild curiosity to serious concern. Explain. The briefing in the station's secure conference room, Marcus and Kira presented their findings to Commander Webb and a hastily assembled team of experts. The data they had collected during their enforced partnership painted a disturbing picture of biological warfare on a galactic scale. The pathogen's genetic structure shows clear signs of artificial engineering, Marcus explained, displaying molecular diagrams on the room's main screen. It's designed to study how different species respond to biological threats while simultaneously collecting genetic data. The transmission protocols embedded in the pathogen indicate that data was being sent to a location in Korthak space, Kira added. My people have been monitoring Korthak expansion for decades, but we never suspected they were developing weapons like this. Dr. Elizabeth Grant, the station's chief medical officer, studied the data with growing alarm. If the Korthak Empire can create pathogens that target specific species, they could potentially wipe out entire civilizations without firing a shot. How did you two manage to neutralize it? Commander Webb asked. Marcus and Kira looked at each other again. The telepathic connection they had shared was deeply personal, but the tactical implications were too important to keep secret. We discovered that human and ethereal mental capabilities are compatible, Kira said carefully. Through telepathic interface, we were able to combine human adaptability with ethereal processing power to create solutions neither species could achieve alone. Commander Webb leaned forward. You're saying humans and ethereals can work together? Telepathically. Not all humans, Marcus clarified. It seems to require specific mental patterns and a high degree of trust, but when it works, the results are extraordinary. The test over. The next several hours, Marcus and Kira worked with the station's research team to document their discoveries. Every test confirmed what they had learned during their night in quarantine. When human creativity combined with ethereal mental abilities, the results exceeded the sum of their parts. Look at these problem-solving metrics, Dr. Grant said, studying the data from their collaborative sessions. Kira working alone can process information at rates that dwarf our best computers. Marcus working alone shows the kind of innovative thinking that has driven human technological advancement. But when they work together, they achieve solutions that neither species has ever imagined. Commander Webb finished. The implications were staggering. For centuries, humans had struggled to keep pace with more advanced alien civilizations. The ethereal collective had achieved technological marvels, but had grown stagnant in their perfection. Together, they might be able to evolve in ways that neither species could accomplish alone. But first, they had to deal with the immediate threat. The response within hours of the briefing, secure communications were established between research, Station Prometheus, Earth Command, and the Ethereal Collective's Governing Council. The evidence of Korthak biological weapons development sent shockwaves through both governments. The Ethereal Collective has maintained neutrality in galactic conflicts for over 1,000 years, came the translated response from the Ethereal Council. But a biological weapon that targets our species specifically represents an existential threat that cannot be ignored. Earth Command's response was more direct. If the Korthak Empire thinks they can wipe out humanity with engineered plagues, they're about to learn why that's a mistake. Marcus and Kira found themselves at the center of rapidly developing military and diplomatic plans. Their discovery of human ethereal mental compatibility had strategic implications that extended far beyond their personal connection. The Korthak Empire has superior numbers and firepower, Admiral Jackson explained during a strategy session. But if we can develop countermeasures using combined human ethereal capabilities, we might be able to level the playing field. The development working around the clock. Marcus and Kira led a team of researchers in developing what they called hybrid interface technology. By combining human neural patterns with ethereal telepathic abilities, they could create biological and technological solutions that were immune to Korthak weapons. The process was exhausting for both of them. Each telepathic session left them mentally drained but also created a deeper connection between them. Marcus began to understand how Kira's mind worked, the elegant patterns of thought that allowed ethereals to process information with such precision. Kira learned to appreciate the chaotic creativity that drove human innovation. The Korthak pathogen was designed to exploit the weaknesses of individual species, Marcus explained to the research team. But it can't adapt to the hybrid responses we're creating. More importantly, Kira added, we are developing defensive measures that can protect both species simultaneously. The Korthak will not be able to divide us by targeting our biological differences. Dr. Sarah Kim, a biochemist who had joined the project, marveled at their results. You're essentially creating a new form of evolution. Humans and ethereals working together are becoming something greater than either species alone. The personal connection. Despite the urgency of their work, Marcus and Kira found time to explore the personal connection that had developed between them. The telepathic link they shared during their research sessions carried over into their private moments, creating an intimacy unlike anything either had experienced. In ethereal culture, we do not form the emotional bonds that humans call love, Kira explained as they walked through the station's observation deck, watching stars wheel slowly past the viewports. Our partnerships are logical arrangements based on compatible mental patterns. And what is this? Marcus asked, taking her hand. Her skin still carried that strange warmth that seemed to resonate with his own life force. This is something new, Kira replied, her starlight eyes reflecting the distant stars. When our minds touch, I feel what you call emotion. But it is not weakness or chaos as my people believe. It is a form of energy that enhances everything else. Marcus smiled. We're creating more than just a military alliance. We're discovering what it means for two species to truly connect. The breakthrough. After a week of intensive research, Marcus and Kira achieved their greatest breakthrough. They developed a biological enhancement process that could temporarily grant humans limited telepathic abilities while allowing ethereals to access human-style creative thinking. The enhancement is not permanent, Marcus explained to the assembled military commanders, but it lasts long enough for individuals from both species to work together on complex problems. The applications are unlimited, Kira added. Engineering, medicine, warfare, exploration, any field that requires both analytical precision and creative innovation could benefit from human-ethereal collaboration. Commander Webb studied the data. How many people can be enhanced with this process? Initially, only a few, Marcus admitted. The mental compatibility requirements are strict, and the process is physically demanding. But if we can prove the concept works, we can train others, Kira finished. Create teams of enhanced individuals who can tackle problems that neither species could solve alone. The first mission, the opportunity to test their theories, came sooner than expected. Intelligence reports indicated that the Korthak Empire was preparing to deploy their biological weapons against several human colonies and ethereal research stations. Traditional defenses would be useless against engineered pathogens, but the hybrid countermeasures Marcus and Kira had developed might be effective. You're asking us to bet the lives of millions of people on an untested technology, Admiral Jackson said during the mission briefing. With respect, Admiral, Marcus replied, those people are already dead if we don't try something new. The Korthak weapons are designed to exploit everything we know about biological defense. Our only chance is to use capabilities they don't know exist. The mission was ambitious. A joint human-ethereal team would infiltrate the Korthak testing facility where the biological weapons were being developed. Using their enhanced mental abilities, they would plant hybrid countermeasures throughout the Korthak computer networks, neutralizing the weapons before they could be deployed. Marcus and Kira would lead the team, their mental connection serving as the template for other human-ethereal pairs. The infiltration. The Korthak facility was located on a barren moon in the outer rim, heavily defended and supposedly impregnable. But the joint team used capabilities that the Korthak had never encountered before. Ethereal stealth technology made them invisible to most sensors, while human adaptability allowed them to overcome obstacles that would have stopped a purely ethereal team. The enhanced mental links between team members created a coordination that seemed almost telepathic to outside observers. The facility's security is based on known human and ethereal capabilities, Marcus whispered to Kira as they approached. The main laboratory complex, they're not prepared for what we've become. Inside the facility, they discovered the full scope of the Korthak biological weapons program. Dozens of engineered pathogens targeted every known intelligent species in the galaxy. The Korthak Empire wasn't just planning to eliminate humans and ethereals, they intended to become the only advanced civilization left. This is genocide on a galactic scale, Kira said, her voice filled with horror as they accessed the Korthak data systems. Working together, Marcus and Kira began uploading their hybrid countermeasures into the Korthak networks. The process required perfect synchronization between their minds, a level of cooperation that demonstrated just how far they had evolved beyond their individual species' limitations. The mission was a complete success. The hybrid countermeasures not only neutralized the Korthak biological weapons, but also transmitted data about the weapons program to every major government in the galaxy. Within hours, a coalition of species was forming to address the Korthak threat. The Korthak Empire made a fundamental mistake, Marcus explained during the post-mission briefing. They assumed that the galaxy's species would remain isolated and vulnerable. Instead, they've given us a reason to work together. The enhanced human ethereal teams have proven that cooperation between species can create capabilities that neither could achieve alone, Kira added. This concept can be expanded to include other species as well. The success of the mission transformed galactic politics overnight. The Human Ethereal Alliance became the foundation for a broader coalition that eventually forced the Korthak Empire to abandon their expansion plans. The future months later, Marcus and Kira stood in the same observation deck where they had first discussed their feelings for each other, but now, instead of a small research station, they were aboard the flagship of the new Galactic Cooperative, a joint human-ethereal vessel that served as a symbol of interspecies cooperation. We have received formal requests from 17 different species to participate in the enhancement program, Kira reported, reading from a tablet that displayed messages in dozens of alien languages. And the applications keep coming, Marcus added. Medical research, terraforming projects, deep space, exploration. Everyone wants to see what their species could accomplish in partnership with others. Kira smiled, an expression that had become more natural for her as she learned to embrace human emotional responses. Do you think we have changed the galaxy? Marcus took her hand, feeling the familiar warmth that still connected them on levels beyond the physical. I think we've shown the galaxy what it could become. The rest is up to them. As they watched the stars stream past the viewports, Marcus reflected on how much had changed since that night in the quarantine lab. They had started as strangers, from different worlds, trapped together by accident. Now they were partners in every sense, leaders of a movement that was reshaping galactic civilization. What happens next? Kira asked. Marcus smiled, his mind already racing with possibilities. Whatever we want. That's the beauty of being human, or part human in your case. We get to choose our own future. The epilogue. Years later, the Marcus-Kira protocols became the standard for interspecies cooperation throughout the galaxy. The enhancement process they developed allowed beings from dozens of different worlds to work together in ways that multiplied their individual capabilities. The small research station where they first met was transformed into the Prometheus Institute, the galaxy's premier center for interspecies studies. Students from hundreds of worlds came there to learn how different species could complement each other's strengths and compensate for each other's weaknesses. But for Marcus and Kira, the greatest achievement wasn't the transformation of galactic civilization or the defeat of the Korthak Empire. It was the proof that love could transcend the boundaries between species, creating connections that made both individuals stronger than they could ever be alone. Their story became a legend told throughout the galaxy, inspiring countless others. to look beyond the differences between species and see the possibilities that lay in cooperation, understanding, and love. And at the heart of that legend was a simple truth that had changed everything. Sometimes being locked in with someone different from yourself isn't a problem to be solved, but an opportunity to discover what you could become together.